in recent times, I came into Kenya by way of Nairobi. And so by now, listen, yo, I'm like so excited to talk about this video here, to talk about my experience. I need to hold my horses.
What's up, guys? So today we're gonna be talking about, I think he's called Kick Scared. Maybe he's actually an African American, but I think he has some background from Senegal, probably, but lived in Florida, America, and he's been visiting Kenya. And I love this guy. I love this guy, and the reason why I'm gonna be reviewing some of his videos, what he has been saying, is the fact that I love it when someone comes and extracts everything that you can get, especially from Nairobi. Like he's figured out stuff, and this guy has been here for, I don't want to give it out, but he says for 90 days or so. And I love the fact that he talks about the things, food, everything, like he's figured it out. So we're gonna be looking at his review. I'm gonna be with you as well. I'm gonna just concur, add, review, add something that I may add. I'm gonna link his original video on my description. Kickscare, kindly go and view it, all of it. But I'm gonna just cut out the part that I think we need to go through, so that I can maybe emphasize, clarify, or anything of that nature. But I love the enthusiasm that he has. Awesome. Let's go.
I mean, based on the plan that I had, I was supposed to already been in Uganda. I was supposed to already been in Rwanda. I was supposed to potentially be also in Tanzania. But this whole 90 days,
so he's saying basically,
I literally spent in Nairobi.
As you watch the whole video, so this guy was supposed to, he's been touring Africa for the last, I think, 10 months. So he was supposed to just, he was on his way to Uganda, Kampala, but so he was passing through Nairobi, and he's been here for the last 90 days. That's what essentially he's saying. Just hold up. I know what that means, because Nairobi is quite a big city, and you can even stay here for like 6 months and just doing various things. But anyway, let him say. All right.
Like coming into Nairobi, like there wasn't as many adjustments that I've had to make going to Dakar, going to Cairo, or going to the Gambia. I didn't really have to make as much or as many adjustments coming into Nairobi. The music, the food.
Okay, that makes sense.
You have all these different restaurants: Ethiopian restaurants, Indian restaurants, Greek restaurants, Mexican restaurants, Italian restaurants. You have Somalian, you have Nigerian, Ghanaian. I mean,
just to emphasize what he's saying, in terms of two things, he was talking, you were saying trying to adapt. So Nairobi is basically, I don't want to say like it is an international city. So Nairobi hosts a lot of internationals here, and the fact it's also kind of a tourist city. So it has that combinations where we have a bit of more internationals and as well tourism. So the city is really well adapted for people who are outside, for outsiders, right? I don't want to say it's westernized per se, but I guess it's kind of the same thing. It's it's a bit westernized. For someone who is coming from another country, that might be an easier, it might be slightly easier to settle down, but it still has an African feel. Something about the food that I might also add is that, yes, Kenya has a lot of international cuisines. Why? Because, as I've said before, it's an international city. So you've got other influences here. And I think he's actually mentioning some of the foods. You got Ethiopian, Nigerian, Vietnamese, Greek. I didn't even know they are Greek, but there's all types of Greek. However, we do have to say, for most expats, we also have local Kenyan food, for which most people would actually say it's a bit bland. I'm gonna be honest, it's actually quite bland, if you are to be honest. The reason is we don't probably use as much seasoning and stuff. People, I think there's a video someone say Kenyans sometimes eat for the hunger's sake. But further on the flip side, Kenyan food may be a bit bland, but on the flip side, we have every other food available. For some, like actually, there are some who say Kenyan food is a bit bland. However, Kenyan food is a bit bland, but it's also one of the most healthiest. I've had a couple of experts say one thing in Kenya, they eat and they don't add weight. In fact, most people say they eat and they lose a lot of weight. Why? Because, as I said, Kenyan food doesn't have a lot of additives. It's very natural. If you want natural food, that might take a bit of time. It's an acquired taste for most people. Kenyan food is really good, actually, very nutritious. It's just that it's not seasoned, doesn't have. But on the flip side, you'll have all sorts of other international foods available. So, yep.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, when it comes to housing, depending on your location, depending on your amenities, that will determine the price of housing. You know, so some people, they may get like a rental.
That's another
like
thing. You'll get as an expat, you'll get, especially in some parts of Nairobi. Actually, I'd like to say in some pockets. Nairobi is made up of these pockets. You just need to know which pocket you'll go on. In some pockets, it's as advanced as many other cities, I would guess. But you can adapt fairly quickly. I think he'll also expand that in another point. So let's just get to that point, right? And then I can expand a bit more.
Vacation rental, 3 months vacation rental. When I first came in, I was doing Airbnb. And then eventually I got the plug on a particular spot. So,
yes.
Well, actually, as I was staying at the Airbnb, the person who was cleaning my Airbnb, when I got to
before it goes on to the types of houses, Nairobi will be as expensive as you want it to be, and it can be as cheap as you want it to be. You just need to get the right information. In some places in Nairobi, actually, I would say even rent is more expensive than some Western places. I did a review of a couple who, not even a couple, there's a lady from UK who was actually almost paying $3,000. And when you tell like a local Kenyan someone is paying $3,000, they will lose their mind. I'm like, they'll be like, "What are you talking? Why would that?" So yes, it's as expensive as it can be, but it also can be very cheap. However, there is a middle ground that I'm, as Gideon, as a host of this channel, there's a middle ground I'm trying to explain to expats. There is a middle ground where you can get fairly affordable houses with the amenities. It's just that for those guys who go for really high end, they're just looking for everything. You want your house to have a backup generator, swimming pool, you want to have a gym. If you look at it that way, it's going to be very expensive. But I mean, you can have a mixture of both. Your house doesn't have to have a gym when there's practically a gym like 500 meters from where you are. Why, So I got it.
Working with them, then they gave me the plug on some other apartments. So then I stopped doing Airbnb. Then I got to doing the rentals just directly. So the prices actually went down a little bit because I was able to bargain and really got a good deal. And then after that, I got linked with one of the tourism companies.
Thank you. That's why I love this guy. And I'm telling you, that is why this guy is a perfect guy. This is the thing I usually tell people. When you come to Kenya, it is okay to get an Airbnb, which will probably be quite expensive, for like 2 or 3 days. Then you need to, one, like this guy, get a local to show you, this guy here, get a local to show you where, a plug, as he says, get a plug who can show you where to get an affordable place that has some of the amenities that you want. And by the way, did I introduce myself? My name is Gideon. I'm a real estate agent. This is a part of what I do. This is part of why I create this content. It's just to create awareness of the real actual truth on the ground here in Nairobi for expats who are coming in. I love this guy because he went about it the right way, right? And even you want him to go the really right way, get a local Get a local like me when you're there. Let's communicate. You can get my contacts. Let's communicate. We can pick you up from the airport, show you one of the best places to stay at an affordable rate without missing some of the essential amenities that you do want. So I really love the fact that he came to Kenya within a few days, got a local plug, and started looking for budget or better places to go. So I really love that. That's why one of the things I really love about his review. Oh, sorry, might have gone a little bit back. All right.
I got linked with one of the tourism companies, Rose Tours, which once again, you guys had seen me, the videos that I did.
Yes.
And so we were able to do some collaborations. That was definitely, I'll say it was a win-win situation. I got more Rose Tours coming soon. I may publish some more videos just on some of our excursions, going into the safaris and just different experiences. And so that was a great situation that came out of that. And so I would say too, it's always great to network.
This is one thing doesn't get to be talked about guys who are coming in from diaspora or wherever they're coming from. Networking with the local people. You see, one of the things that you have an advantage for and you can actually do, anyone who comes here with that, even if you have a really small audience of you're creating content, probably a YouTuber, whatever it is, if you have a slight even small audience, you can actually collaborate with Kenyan brands and actually have maybe even a free safari to the Masai Mara, which are usually very costly. But because you can be able to network and get some few collaborations, even some of these Airbnbs, you can you can collaborate with the owners of the Airbnbs. You're like, hey, give me a half price of this, and I'll tell guys to come. If you have a sizable audience, that will be something that you can do. So it's one aspect that people really don't get to talk about but the ability to come and network. And that's one of the reasons I love this guy, Kick Scare, man. You ever see this video? I mean, I'd like to do an interview because I love the fact when visitors come and do Nairobi the right way. So you don't go back saying the houses are overpriced, blah, blah, blah. I didn't get to do this. There's a lot. There's a reason why Nairobi was ranked the best city to travel in 2024 by Lonely Planet. There have to be reasons. This guy has been here for 90 days and he was supposed to be here probably for a month. And he hasn't even left Nairobi yet. You haven't gone to Mombasa, Kisumu, Naivasha, Nanyuki. Explore other places apart from Nairobi. So I really love that. Let me just hear another point that he's making, and then you can continue. Adaptation.
It's very adaptable here. And so that's one of the other things that I learned. When people find out, like, okay, I'm from the US, they kind of, they become like very welcoming, I would say. And so, you don't find that people will shun you because, you're from the US.
Awesome. Kenyans are very friendly to foreigners. I think we are even more friendly to other foreigners than we are to ourselves. Kenya has one of the biggest backbones of Kenya is tourism. So essentially, I think that sort of friendliness has been just inborn because of probably, obviously, the I don't want to say the money, the income that it's true. It's because of the income that it brings. But that doesn't mean Kenyans are friendly to you just because you're bringing income. I think generally you are really friendly people. It's very easy to adapt. I think we're actually more friendly to foreigners than even ourselves by ourselves. I'm so probably someone can tell me it's wrong or right in the below, yeah, on the comments below as a other Kenyan, right?
For example, in some places you will go, not here per se, but I'm saying in certain other countries you will go, you may not necessarily have like nice roads. Okay, the roads might be like very dusty, for example. But here, like the road networks are great, the highways, there's great road networks. And so traffic, At times
Or
when you like in the city center,
transport.
definitely you can find like
Yes.
heavy traffic. But I mean, for the past 90 days, like I said, I've been really in Nairobi. You know what I mean? I haven't even been to Mombasa, just in Nairobi. And so I can say that traffic is definitely, there's a nice flow when it comes to traffic, depending on the time of the day and where you're at. And so let's say you in like the city center, then it's always busy for the most part. It's like a downtown, you know what I mean? So it's always going to be busy. That's where business is conducted, where you have all the bureaus, administrations. And
So there
so,
are actually, let me just fasten for him. There are a couple of transport modes in Nairobi for expats. The number one most popular one is gonna be obviously the ride hailing taxis, Uber, Bolt, which are there actually. So you have Uber and we have Bolt and we have a couple of others. Just their names have escaped me. So Uber is the most expensive to Bolt. Are they that expensive for most expats? Not really. Prices will range from $1 to $5 to $10 depending on how far. Probably from one end of Nairobi to another end will be $10 or so at most. And you don't need. I don't think someone is gonna be using that amount of. You're moving every day from one end of the town to the other, so I don't think so. So most guys will be moving within some pockets. So you also have public transport, which are the matatus. They are cheap, that cheap, but they're also that can be a little bit inconveniencing. And as he's saying, if you're claustrophobic, that might be not the best one to go. Once in a while, you can enter matatu because most of them are known for the graffiti and the loud music they play. You can just enter for the sake of it. A local like me probably uses a mix of both, sometimes depending where I'm going. So I'm gonna use public transport to up to a particular point, and then if it's not convenient, I use a bus just to go in the inside of some places where the matatu might not be reaching or it's not more convenient to where I'm going. There is actually the fourth, very popular with experts, boda bodas. Those are motorbikes. Can be cheap, can also be expensive, but will weave around the city, so making in terms of traffic, it's not that much. They are very good because they can easily escape the traffic. However, just like any other part of the country, I usually use motorcycles or border bodas when I have to, because let's be honest, they're actually prone a bit to accidents. So that's something that you should like any other place. I don't think that's anything that is particular to Kenya. He was also talking about the traffic. Depending on where you are in Nairobi, traffic can be a nightmare. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. Especially on Fridays or peak hours in the evening or in the morning 7 to 8 or maybe evening. It can be scary, but in most expert bubbles, it's not that bad. It's when you're going downtown, the more you go, because downtown you have government offices, business. Those places are gonna be slightly. You're gonna experience a bit of traffic. All right. So let's hear the other point that he's talking about.
so in terms of weather, like I said, growing
Yeah,
up in Florida, I've always been in the tropics,
Yeah.
going into the Caribbean tropics. I mean, up here is not really tropical per se. It's more like subtropical. Up here, I mean, right now, if I was to look at the weather, I think it might be like in the 60s or something. All right.
Yeah.
So weather in Nairobi. So it's like 62 right now. All right, 62. So before, it was like winter between July.
So I'm gonna say Nairobi weather is it's actually good for most. I hear from what other experts say. It can be slightly chilly than most people think Africa is. Other Africans, when they come to Nairobi, they say it's very cold. But when you have someone like, I have a colleague from Canada who is here, and he's like, when it's at the most coldest, especially from July to August, he was like, dude, this is like summertime in our place, so it's not that bad. probably, I don't know how it's done in Celsius because that's what you guys use. As you use, I think, degrees. So in Kenya, probably 12 to 15 degrees to 20 thereabout most of the year. So in terms of weather, it's not that bad. Slightly chill in some places in Nairobi. In Mombasa, is very, 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 very hot. So the weather is really that good. I think I've really
All right.
covered in terms of
So,
weather
I
and what
mean,
we've
in
talked
terms
about.
of challenges, I would
Okay,
say that
challenges. I will
some
say
of the
is
challenges
also
that I
like
face
any
here,
other place, and I like people and they're tackling challenges in Nairobi because there's no perfect place in the world. Nairobi has to have its challenges. So let's hear some of those challenges.
depending on the area where you're at, you might experience some power outages. Okay, so like for example, in one particular area, it was more of a rural side. I did experience some power outages, so that's not the most convenient. Um, what other
Yeah.
challenges? You gotta know the money because sometimes
You're gonna have Kenya is an African country. Yes, actually, if you rank Kenya in terms of power outages in Africa, we are actually one of the better countries in terms of power. But I'm a content creator and I create content every other day, and I can tell you probably in a month, probably maybe just have one power outage, and usually maybe for an hour or so, and that's it. And in most cases, they actually even tell you in way in advance. But they can be some power outages from once in a while. It's not bad. It's not chronic. If you actually would even say Kenya is much better than South Africa, way better than Nigeria by a mile. It's just that there can be some power outages, and we gotta be honest about that. So that's very true as
another
well.
thing is when
All
I
right.
first came in, like I will go to some like markets maybe to buy like some traditional clothes. Then
Oh, I really
definitely
hate
I
this
know they
one.
overpriced me looking back. Now that I've been here for like 3 months, I'm like, okay,
Kenyans,
now I know the local
Kenyans.
prices, the local markets. So I don't really get overpriced like before. All right. So those
The Kenya have this behavior of hiking prices when you know you're a foreigner. It actually happens more often on the lower income sides than other sides, because in most Kenyan hotels, places you're going to be doing service, it's very professional. You're going to get the real price for locals. However, when you go to some low income areas and they hear that accent, that can be a basis for them hiking the prices. It's bad for a country that is 8% Christians. It's just one of those things. You're like, why do we do these things? But like we said, like any other, you're gonna have challenges. One of the things that I really liked about Kickscare is this is a guy who's coming adapted. These are the challenges, these are the upsides, and just take advantage of the upsides. I really love that sort of an attitude, because there's no perfect city. And in Kenya, Nairobi is one of the really nice cities. There's a reason why we were voted one of the best cities to visit in 2024, 2023 Lonely Planet. But there are a couple of challenges, we have to be really honest. I'm gonna end it there. I mean, this guy is really, I really loved his review. And hey, guys, my name is Gideon again. If you like this sort of content, kindly subscribe. If you are looking for accommodation, guys, Airbnbs, as a local, I'm here on the ground. Reach out to me. I've leave my contacts on the description box so that you can reach out to me when you're coming. Let me arrange that for you. Yeah, tell me, I'll get you a car to pick you from the airport. Make it as smooth as possible, to do a bit of tour guides in the city. Yeah, reach out, man. Gideon, see you next time. Why did I want to say good night and it's on morning? It's midday actually. See you.